Ryan Poles mentioned that there's a lot of phone calls going on right now around the NFL draft. Does that mean the Chicago Bears are more likely to make a move? We're going to discuss all that. Plus, Darnell Wright could possibly move to left tackle. What does that mean for Braxton Jones? What does that mean in this draft for the Chicago Bears? We're going to talk about it all and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go to get into this content for today, y'all. And I told y'all we're going to be staying live probably the majority of this week. Just to keep up the theme, add some new wrinkles to the show. Why not? But with that said, man, we got a lot out from Ryan Poles in regards to this draft and things that's going on. And it seems like Ryan Poles is anticipating a lot of movement around this draft. Now, those who've been listening or watching the show for a while, should be no surprise to you. I did say that I do think that there's going to be a lot of movement in the first round of this draft, probably after around pick 12. It's probably where it's really going to pick up in this one. And Ryan Poles said this, direct quote, right? I think it's a deeper in certain areas than others. Usually the cutoff is a little bit quicker once you get into the rounds 2 and 3. This one's going to be a little bit different. I think there's going to be a lot more movement than there has been in the past, right? So that's what it comes down to, like that movement. What is that movement going to be? And can the Bears take advantage of that movement, right? Whether it's moving up, moving down, right? I've made my thoughts very known on the fact that I don't think the Bears right now should be looking to move up and send out extra assets. But I do think moving back and things like that are an option for the Chicago Bears, right? He did say that this draft could get a little wild, and I think that shapes up with what we've been seeing so far from this team. I think or from this draft, I do think there's going to be a lot of kind of movement around there. Ryan Poles did go on to say this as well in regards to how big the pool of players is at pick number 10. He says, it's a large pool of very good football players, and I think you can do some different things to get more players that are going to be able to come in and help your team quickly. Let me reread that last part, right? I think you can do some things to get more players that are going to be able to come in and help your team quickly. So the Bears not only anticipate a large pool of players, right, which to me indicates if you think the pool of players are that large at number 10 there, that you have on your board at number 10, and that you think that a lot of those players can come in and help you day one, that sounds to me like maybe moving up is probably not going to be what the Bears do. Now, maybe I could be very well projecting my thoughts on that. You guys know I try to be very objective in regards to that. That could be just me hoping that the Bears don't trade up. But listen, the Bears are going to be looking to take advantage of whatever's in front of them, whether it's more advantageous for them to trade up, whether it's more advantageous for them to trade back. I do think the Bears are going to be something that's there big time when it comes down to it. He was also asked about Darnell Wright, right? And how he views Darnell Wright. He says, I think there's a conversation. We'll see how everything goes. He clearly has the ability to play left and right. We saw that in college. That was part of the value in taking Darnell. So if he had to play left, I think he could play left. I think we're all excited about his stuff going right. Now, the reason why I bring that up, right? Some of you guys in the comment section have talked about potentially drafting somebody and having to move them from left tackle to right tackle to left tackle, right? If the Bears are open to saying, hey, if what's best is moving Darnell to left tackle, and then maybe that means the guy that we're bringing in, that a tackle that we could draft could come in at right tackle, maybe there's something to be said of that. I do think having multiple veterans there on the offensive line at the guard position and Jonah Jackson and Joe Thuney, they really help that, I think, as well, because you're going to have a veteran there next to Darnell Wright, either way that it goes, and next to your rookie. And it's really about finding the best combination of getting those sides together there. But that was something I didn't necessarily expect to hear. And not because it doesn't make sense, but because, I've kind of just looked at Darnell Wright as a right tackle and really left it at that when it came down to it. But we'll see what the Bears have in store there. But moving positions, moving sides for a guy like Darnell Wright could be something that comes down to when we see, man. But we'll see. What overall what happens there. But for what it's worth as well, Ian Cunningham actually talked really good about Braxton Jones as well, right? And he talked about Braxton Jones and Kieran Amagaje, and Ian Cunningham said this. I think the value, if he's a playmaker and a really good playmaker, you take a really good player. There's a beauty in our process. Our philosophy is best player available. Yeah, we weigh premium positions versus non-premium positions, but at the end of the day, it's a playmaker. And if we see him in that role, I think you go and take a playmaker that's not a premium position. The Bears are open for business. That's all I think when it comes down to it. The Bears are open for business, man. They're going to look to do everything that they can there. Is the way that I read that. Shout out to Josh. Trying to study for my accounting midterm next week, but the draft tomorrow, so I'm way too excited. Hey, I feel you on that one. What's going on? Crimson's in the building. Kirk Cousins linked in trades with Steelers and Vikings. LOL. If he goes back to the Vikings, that will be funny. If Kirk Cousins goes back to the Viking, that would definitely be a very interesting thing. Morning Hayes, bear down. One more motherfucking day until we can stop speculating on what Poles is going to do. I am so ready to just see what we do at number 10, right? I'm so ready to get through those first couple of picks, first 9 picks in this draft, and to see what the Bears do, man. Because I think that's going to really set us up for what we're going to do in rounds in the rounds 2 and 3, right? I think that's it. Josh with the hot take says Bears move down with Pittsburgh and possibly it will not happen, but I know possibly won't happen, but they get TJ Watt in return with some draft picks. Yeah, come on, bro. I would love for that to happen, but it's probably not gonna happen there. I know we have to win games, but man, the energy is just different this time around. I think this is our time. Listen, I'm not allowing my excitement to expectations. That's really been my motto this offseason. Make no mistake about it. I'm really excited about where this team is. I'm really excited about this draft and what it can mean for this team overall. But I think when it comes down to it, like you said, you got to win on the football field. We can't keep being off-season champions. We got to win on the football field, man. Hopefully he can be much better than he was in school. Who are you talking about there, Crimson? Good morning. Caught the morning live at my desk. What up, Hayes? Give us an in-depth analysis on some rookie safety. You think, man? I actually have a whole video on that, my boy. You gotta stay up, B Mace. Have a whole video on just safeties, my boy. Just safeties. I'm going to be talking about linebackers later on in this episode, but I've already talked about the safeties. But Billy Bowman Jr. is still my favorite safety in this draft. I think with what he brings upside-wise, as a ball hawk, as a tackler, as a guy that can guard in coverage, in zone, on man, he just really can do everything. And I think if you can get him with Jaquan Brisker long-term, that's going to be a really good safety pairing there for you. That's just my personal opinion. So trade back with San Francisco and get George Kittle. Haha, pipe dream, but I'm for it. That's funny. That's funny. Darnell on the left in school left a lot to be desired. Hopefully he's better. Listen, if the place that I'm at right now, Crimson, is that Dan Rouchar is so much better than Chris Morgan that even if it's something that I'm looking at and saying, that's a little questionable, I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt because Dan Rouchar is the line coach. And if it ends up not working out, cool. It doesn't end up working out, and I trust Dan Rouchar to recognize that early and move on as well. But I think all those things aside is that you want to trust your coaching, and your coaching is the one that's coming in to evaluate these guys, to coach them up. And if that ends up being the thing that he ends up looking at, I'm not mad at it. But before we get into the line, because I do want to talk about linebackers, I do think linebacker is going to be an important position for the Bears in this draft, right? Joe Thuney, right, and the contract extension there. Ryan Poles talked a little bit about that as well, right? He did mention how they're looking at that, and I don't want to say that it's like a hesitation there from Ryan Poles in regards to that. He did say the contract extension for new guard Joe Thuney is definitely one of the possibilities moving forward, right? Definitely one of the possibilities moving forward. I think that they may be waiting to see what they do in the draft, right? What if you do draft a Will Campbell? And while Dan Rouchar has said that he thinks Will Campbell will be perfectly good at tackle, what if you do draft him and say, no, he's probably going to be better at guard, right? there's that part of it. So maybe that's part of how this is. They're waiting to see how it shakes out. But I feel pretty confident that either way, even if you do draft somebody who's taking over as the starting guard, I think you still want you still want Joe Thuney there to be a depth piece or whatever else it ends up being. So I think that Joe Thuney's probably going to get a contract extension. I just think that it may come either during the season, it may come after training camp, something around there, or they may just wait to see how it goes after the season. So, we'll see what happens there. But overall, I do think Tooney's going to probably get it. If I was a betting man, which I'm not because I don't like to bet my money because I work too hard for my money. But if I was a betting man, I'd say it's a pretty good chance that Tooney's going to get that contract extension. Crimson says, I'm just thrilled they're finally taking the O-line seriously. I'm not making any predictions yet, but the probability is definitely much better and moving in the right direction. Completely agree with you. DJ Nick says, I'm reconsidering about running back at 10. We need a stud at left tackle. Teams don't give up a quality left tackle. It's a lot of quality running backs in the draft. Don't want to sacrifice the second round pick. Yeah, I mean, that's how I feel about it as well. Like, don't get me wrong. If Genty falls there at number 10, I completely understand the Bears taking him. There's still some really good tackles that you can get in the second round, but tackle's kind of my focus there, right? If they go running back, they go running back. But we'll see. My dream is that Armand Manbao falls there at number 10. That's really not probability, but that's kind of my dream there. Roxanne says, I think it was Bobby that mentioned a curveball by the Bears. We drafted Hunter as wide receiver. I really like that in a trade up. I mean, yeah, we all kind of talked about that. His ability to play multiple positions. He wants to play both sides of the ball. That's very unlikely to happen. Very unlikely to happen. True, bro. I had zero faith in the old staff. This new staff got me happy as fuck. Yeah, I mean, and that's what having competent coaching does for you, right? Like, you doubt and second guess everything when you don't trust the guys that are evaluating the talent, right? Like, that's natural. When you don't trust the guys evaluating the talent, it's like, I don't know if I feel comfortable in that. When you have trust in the guys that are evaluating the talent, it kind of gives you a different perspective on it because you look at what those guys and their ability to identify talent and things are, and you really trust that. Kenneth Grant, or if you think that, like, this is why you never go into a draft thinking one player or bust, because that's probably definitely not going to happen. I hope we don't trade up, and I hope we get a legit blue chip player at number 10 or trade back. And you know what? I'm not somebody who cares about blue chip. I care about what the product. There's tons of players that weren't blue chips that ends up being Hall of Famers, right? Get the right guy. I don't give a fuck about the name. I don't give a shit, like, to a degree, right? Like, we do all this to talk about it and evaluate things, but like, if you go out there and get the right guy and they end up developing, that's the question. That's the thing that matters the most. Like, people put too much sometimes cachet in, oh, well, they're a blue chip guy. Yeah, and there've been a lot of blue chip players that are turned into shit. A lot of them, right? So I don't think that getting what is labeled or considered a blue chip coming into the draft is necessarily the end all be. It's great for headlines. It's great for initially feeling like your team did something, but it's not always the end all be all is the way that I view it. But, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know that I would ever take a running back in the first round. Maybe if we already had the best and youngest O-line in the league. Yeah, I mean, you've been very consistent on that being your view on the draft, and we'll see what they do there. Draft Banks. I'm not as high on Banks. I mean, listen, if they get him, they got a good guy, but there's still some bull rush issues with Banks, things like that. That I'm a little concerned about. Grady is short-term solution. We love to see my Bears solidify the D-line for years to come. Well, they've already started work on doing that. Let's be clear. Javon Dexter is a solidified part for years to come. They got investment in Austin Booker, right? I think I believe that Austin Booker is really going to develop into something. Of course, if you can get a D tackle in this draft, get him, right? If it makes sense for you. And we know that Ryan Poles isn't somebody who's going to hesitate to take a player, even if the position looks deep. But Grady's going to be here for a while. I think he's going to be productive for us for a while. Best case, in my opinion, trade back, get Simmons plus an extra first next year. You know what? That's not a bad proposition. The way I look at it, though, if you trade back, you may be picking up more assets in this draft. We'll see. I'm not mad if you get into debt. I don't know if you get it first, but if you do, great, right? But I've said it many times before, Crimson, you've been there. If it wasn't for Simmons' injury concerns, he would be a top 10 pick in this draft. If it wasn't for the injury, he would be a top 10 pick in this draft. Maybe as low as top 15, right? Maybe you're saying top 15. But if you could trade back and still get Josh Simmons, and like I said, he doesn't have really like huge injury concerns going into the future, you could have got a steal there while picking up more assets. I want the next Olin Kreutz type player, not the next Dez Bryant, who was only good for a few years. If the Bears actually trade up to 5, get Armand. Listen, I love Armand Mabel. I love Armand Mabel. Love him. Love him. Man, please don't hype Dexter and Booker. We need more D-line. Understand the difference between hype. See, this is the problem when somebody wants to hear their opinion come out of somebody's mouth. Evaluation isn't hype. Javon Dexter is a damn good player. If you go and look at it, he's very comparable to the player that everybody's like, oh, we didn't get Jalen Carter. Go and look at their stats. Go and look at their stats. Now, he was on a defense that wasn't creative, and we'll see what he looks like, but it's not hype. It's evaluation of the data that's out there. Just because it doesn't align with your thoughts, don't be insecure about your ideas so much that you want to hear your opinion come out of somebody else's mouth, and when you don't hear that, you think it's hype. That's not hype. That's evaluation. People can have other thoughts. We can have a conversation about it, or we can bring out Petty Roosevelt. That's what we can do. That's what we can do here. So watch yourself. All right. This all I'm gonna say is watch yourself. Watch yourself and how you talk here, because this ain't ESPN, and I'm not Pat the designer. I'm not a nice person. So watch yourself. I'm worried we'll take a D-line guy and get 4 sacks and be pretty good. I mean, listen, we'll see. We'll see what happens there, man. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I wonder who slips this year. There's always going to be somebody that slips. Always going to be somebody that slips. For sure. Always going to be somebody that slips. Chicago Bears Talk Michael says, I'm tired of most of our content creators, people like Fies and Swifty, that we should draft Ashton but need offensive line help. Listen, here's what I'll say. Everybody has their own right to their opinion. Those are very smart guys. They're very smart guys. So, we'll see. We'll see. I hope you talk this big in person. Little mother, I'm 235 pounds, my boy. Please roll up on me in person. Matter of fact, I dare you. I'll be at Bulls Fest. Make sure you roll up. See, don't try to talk tough behind. See, now Petty Roosevelt is in this bitch. It's bad enough, right? Let's just be clear here, bro. It's bad enough that you are so insecure about your own thoughts that just because somebody said something that you did, now you're getting your panties in a twist. It's bad enough that your parents didn't love you enough. Like let's just be clear and sit here. Just because you didn't have your daddy in your life doesn't mean you need to come in here and project trying to get attention from grown ass men. That's the first thing that you failed at. The second thing that you failed at is just because you're on some Shannon Sharp shit and your girlfriend likes to stick her tongue in your butt, that doesn't mean you can come here acting like a sensitive ass bitch. Don't get cooked, motherfucker, okay? Because we will run through your mama and then look at you. Now I'm your stepdad, and now it's my job to finish raising you because your daddy didn't do a good enough job. Watch yourself, all right? Watch yourself. You don't want Petty Roosevelt in the morning. Dumb motherfucker. Your name is MP because you're a damn bitch, bro. You don't even have a full fucking ass name. Take your little Avi with your cartoon characters on it and shove that shit up your ass and watch yourself, my boy, okay? Because like I said, this ain't ESPN. All right. Now, with that said, I want to talk about some of the better linebackers in this draft that the Chicago Bears could take. And we'll take a look at that. And then we'll cap off the show, man. Because I do think linebacker is still a need for the Chicago Bears in this draft. I do think that it's a position that they definitely should be looking at. And trying to address, depending on how things shake out, right? Like with everything, it's all about the value that you can get at those positions. That's always the most important thing in these drafts, is where's the value at, right? And Ryan Poles has been fairly decent at evaluating that. And that's what you really want to look at next when it comes down to it. Like the Bears, to me, this is a draft where you can get a lot of quality linebackers. Now, I don't think the Bears are going to address linebacker in rounds 1 or 2, right? So I'm looking at round 3 at the start of where the Bears start trying to address their linebacker position, right? The first one in round 3, Chris Paul Jr. From Ole Miss is right there. Now, this is a guy that a lot of you guys have been bringing up literally since the start of this draft process. If the Bears do want to go linebacker, I love Chris Paul Jr. I think when you look at the mechanics that he has, the position, the scheme versatility that he has as well, really good. 3.5 sacks as a linebacker last year. Looks really good under the Chicago Bears, and especially under Dennis Allen's system, right? With Tremaine Edmonds being somebody who is probably going to be on their way out. We'll see what happens there. You look at him, 86 total tackles last year, 48 of those being solo, 4 passes deflected, 1 interception, 3.5 sacks. I really love Chris Paul Jr. and what he could potentially be under Dennis Allen. I think that's a big thing there. What he can be under Dennis Allen is the real important part of that. Dennis Allen likes to get very creative with how he uses his linebackers. But then round 4. Now, the Bears don't have a 4th round pick, right? And that could be one of the issues there, right? We're picking round 5, then we go to round 7. But Danny Stutsman is still a guy that I absolutely love in this draft. I think when you look at it, the athleticism that he has, the technique that he has as well, and overall how he gets to the quarterback, how he can be used in the pass game as well. Like, this is a guy that I think would be hugely high on the list for the Chicago Bears. Danny Stutsman is a guy that I love. I think he just has that Chicago Bears linebacker type mentality and game that I like a whole lot for. The question is where the Bears are going to pick at and if he's going to be there, right? That's one of the questions there. And we'll see what happens when it comes down to that. But overall, I think Danny Stutsman is one of my favorite ones. He's right up there with Chris Paul Jr. In regards to it as well. And we'll see what happens. The last guy, and I think this is a guy that can be drafted in round 5, is Jack Kaiser out of Notre Dame. I really love this guy a lot. I think when it comes down to it, he's more of a project, right? And I think he is somebody that he can play either the weak side linebacker or middle linebacker. That's kind of your Jack Sanborn kind of replacement in the sense that it's not really, he doesn't have the greatest speed or anything like that, but he's just a good football player. Last year, 90 tackles, 5 tackles for a loss, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, right? And he's an older guy, so he's bringing some experience as well in that. And I think that Jack Kaiser, look out for that name in the draft for the Chicago Bears. Really look out for that name. And I think that's a really good thing, a really good potential pick there for the Bears and good quality in the place where they're picking as well. I think that makes a lot of sense for the Bears, man. But those are my linebackers that I'd like to see the Bears, have on their board, take a look at, and we'll see what's going to happen there, man. But that's what it comes down to. That's my time for today. Make sure you guys are following us at Shy Bear Central. You send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that's thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but Bear down. Oh, by the way, MP's mama is definitely still down because she's sucking dick for nickels. Love you guys.